everyone, it's Darkseeker here again. Welcome back for another video. Now we're living in an interesting new world of Hearthstone where some nerfs have recently hit. Patches has been nerfed, finally. Corridor Creeper has been nerfed, finally. And a few other cards have been nerfed. So we're living in a new meta where aggro is represented slightly less than before. Doesn't mean to say that aggro has been stamped out. It still exists, but we're seeing more Q-block, for example, at least from my experience on the wild mode ladder, and so I thought I'll play something a bit different. So Control Paladin is what I'm playing today. Fun deck, you know, use your Doomsayers, your shielded mini-bots to gain early control of the board, sequence into your mid-game with your Death Rattle minions, Sludge Belcher, Sylvanas, Tyrion, etc. Use Equality and Consecration combos or Equality Pyromancer combos to clear the board, then play Enzoth the Corruptor and win the game. That's the plan. But there are some other interesting cards teched into this deck. So let's have a look at Garrison Commander, for example. Goes very well with the hero power from Uther of the Ebon Blade. If you can time it so that your opponent uses all of their AoE, all of their board clears to clear your Death Rattle minions, for example, then they may not be expecting Garrison Commander to come down to synergize with the Death Knight hero power, and over a couple of turns you just could win the game. So yeah, Garrison Commander is sort of the ace of this deck. You don't want to reveal him too early, you reveal him when you think they can't deal with him. So slightly situational, but still I think decent as a surprise. Eadric the Pure, in my opinion, one of the most underrated cards in Hearthstone. I think he works well in this particular deck. Just the battle cry is reasonable, right? So reducing the enemy minion's attack to 1, I think that's decent. Good against aggro. Hey, good against mid-range too, and good against Q-block if there's like a board full of Doom Guards. You know, if they all suddenly do 1 attack, hey, you're gonna live for a little bit longer. And 7 health on Eadric is reasonable. Actually, it's pretty good. The 3 attack, not so great. If Eadric had 5 attack, I think he'd be relatively broken, because that 5 attack will kill most things, I guess. But yeah, Eadric the Pure, you don't see him played very much anymore, but I think he has a place in this deck, and he's a fun card. And hey, his battle cry sound effects are great. Enter the Colosseum. That's another interesting card teched into this deck. Just good at clearing wide, big boards. Good against Q-block, I guess. Just another tool to deal with Q-block, because Q-block is everywhere. Good once you've exhausted your Equality Pyromancer Consecration combos. Okay, another thing to consider. Now, this deck has Enzoth the Corruptor. You get 1 wave of minions back, which you can use to regain control of the board. I'd like to point attention to the fact that Q-block, which is everywhere, has not only Enzoth for a wave of demons coming back like Void Lords, Q-block has Bloodreaver Gul'dan. And in my opinion, that puts Q-block at a massive advantage because it gets 2 waves of minions coming back to life. And so when you're playing against Q-block, you have to be wary of that, and you have to think about saving those Equality Pyromancer combos, those Equality Consecration combos for when you need them the most. Because you have to outlast Q-block, and if you can outlast the Enzoth wave and the Gul'dan wave, you stand a good chance of winning. And again, keeping in mind that this particular deck can only resummon that wave once because it only runs Enzoth, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at a game. 1 game of this deck in action on the wild mode ladder, and we are going up against another Paladin. Now, it has to be aggro Paladin, simply because Control Paladin doesn't really exist anymore on the wild mode ladder. Everyone is playing aggro Paladin because they just see it as being the most effective version of Paladin. And of course, since the nerfs, we are seeing a return of Secrets Paladin along with Murlocs. That's very interesting. And look, there's a Murloc. So this is going to be an aggressive Paladin with Murlocs. Maybe secrets too, but probably not. Or hopefully not. You've got the Secrets Paladin with Murlocs that runs Anything Can Happen. So this guy just looks like he's running the whole range of aggressive Murlocs, so we probably won't see anything. But we've done a reasonably good job at controlling the board, you know, pulling the trigger on our Doomsayer just because we didn't want his Murloc Tidecaller to grow. And now Shielded Minibot is going to do a reasonable job of contesting one of his minions. It'll live and contest a second minion, hopefully. However, Consecration is looking very juicy here. So there's potential for Consecration, but I may want to save it because Consecration is, you know, it's big time AoE against an aggressive deck. So actually here, rather than pulling the trigger on Consecration, I can just play Coghammer. And Coghammer here, giving my Shielded Minibot its Divine Shield back, that's really, really good value. Because it's going to mean that Shielded Minibot will have required 3 hits, 3 trades, before it dies. And against an aggro deck, that's super duper good. Coghammer, one of those cards that used to be played an awful lot, now you don't see it much anymore. But he's Spellbreaker, and he's clearly teched in Spellbreaker for the Q-block matchup. In order to rush through those Void Lords, Spellbreaker can be game winning. Unfortunately for him, there's Sludge Belcher. The question is, can he work his way through the Belcher? How much will he have to sacrifice? And this is why Belcher is, simply put, one of the best taunts in the entire game. It's a double layered taunt. They have to work incredibly hard to get through it. See, now, I could have played the Pyromancer and the Consecration and cleared his board entirely, but I'm just going to hang on to the Pyromancers. I'm just going to hang on. In case I do get the equality, just another combo to clear his board. I mean, I have 2. I could have thrown 1 away onto the board and that wouldn't have been the worst thing. But I don't think there was a need. The Megasaur here is bad news, because now it depends on the buff. And that's actually good for him. He's got a sticky board of Murlocs now that are going to summon tokens. Still, the tokens that get summoned aren't terribly threatening. I could have used the Aldor there on the Megasaur and then the weapon just to save myself taking a little bit of damage, but at this juncture, I don't really care, to be honest, because I have this Belcher in the way. It's going to block damage to my face. Hopefully it'll be a while before he can get any significant damage in because of the Belcher. So happy to save Aldor Peacekeeper for something more threatening as the game progresses. He's really thinking hard about these trades. Okay, decides not to do anything further. Interesting. To battle. Trying to think about whether I actually want to kill these Murlocs. The fact that they are Murlocs means they can be buffed up. That would be bad news for me. If he has War Leader or Acolyte Seer, that'd be a problem. To battle! To battle! Let the pain speak to me. Follow the rule. And now I'm just going for board presence. Deciding that he's probably not going to play anything all too threatening. These are all small Murlocs that he's probably got. Just going for board here. Because I'm looking at his health total and I'm thinking, hey, I could start being aggressive very, very soon and actually end up killing him. Because we have the Death Knight coming, which means we're going to get the weapon. And we could just start swinging face with the weapon. Again, he has to work his way through the Sludge Belcher. You know, it feels like he doesn't want to commit into the Belcher. He doesn't want to trade his minions in. And that is really, really bad news for him. But again, the power of Sludge Belcher is I guess, stopping him from killing that Acolyte cleanly with his weapon. So now he pays the price, I draw a card, and he's still now thinking this through. If he starts trading his minions in and they die and they summon tokens, those juggles are probably going to hit my Acolyte again, right? Oh, those are all going face. That's really annoying. Oh, that's good. That's really good. So, his juggles there didn't work out much for him. But we're just going to clear this board. I mean, we're at a reasonable health total still. The Doomsayer there is going to give me control of the board, hopefully, if he can't remove it. Give me initiative, I should say, for the following turn, and we can play the Death Knight. Oh, wow. Oh, that's interesting. Are we actually dead? No, we're not. He's just trying to do damage. He's getting all the damage in that he can. That's interesting. Well, I was thinking of the Death Knight, but to be honest, this is better. This is a darn sight better. I was thinking of setting up the Garrison Commander, but why would I want to reveal it? There's no point. The chances are we won't even need it in this game. And that Lich King is just sitting there on the board. How is he going to get through it? I don't think he can. He'd need a silence effect. Oh, that's one way through, I guess. Well, what can we do here? We can silence his taunt. And then we can buff our board. Possibly? Wait, do we really kind of... No, we don't have lethal, right? So... Just looking at the buffs there, no. So... I guess we could play Garrison Commander and buff the board. So we buff everything now. I like the idea of trading. Just to avoid any possible shenanigans.
Your magic shall not save.
Oh, well, there's a silence. And he really needs to trade now, I think. You know, he can't risk not trading, surely. Otherwise, he has to think there's a risk of him just dying. And notice that he silences the Lich King. It goes back to 8 attack. That's hilarious. So in the end, we didn't even need the Death Knight. We didn't even need to combo Garrison Commander with the hero power from the Death Knight. So that was quite interesting. We just won through controlling the board. Just basic strategy, I guess, with a control deck. So yeah, this is a powerful deck in my opinion. If you can time your board clears correctly and I guess not get overrun by aggro. I mean, there is the possibility of you just drawing Enzoth, Tyrion, and Sylvanas, and I don't know, Eadric in your opening hand, and then just getting absolutely overrun. I think to survive against aggro, particularly Murloc Paladin, which can steamroll incredibly quickly, I think you need Doomsayers in that opening hand. You do need shielded mini-bots. Without those, the chances are you could just die by turn 5. Pyromancer Equality on turn 4 could also be enough, possibly. I think it just depends on how much damage you've taken. But as you saw in that last game, we had an awesome start. I mean, we had Coghammer on the mini bots. I mean, that was great. It bought us so much time. It slowed down our opponents so much. So Coghammer there certainly valuable. And then we had our board clears, and we just had various ways of stopping him from killing us. And what was particularly fun was the Acolyte of Pain and the Knife Juggler interaction there. It was pretty awesome. So we had some good luck, and I guess we won. Do I think this is tier 1? No. Do I think it's tier 2? Yeah, possibly. I think if you're facing sort of tier 1 meta decks, then you have to play this deck very skillfully and very carefully and time everything correctly. So, what do you guys think of this deck? If you like the deck, you know, leave some comments below. If you don't like the deck, leave some comments below and tell me what you think. Tell me what cards you'd take out of the deck. Are there any cards you'd include? What do you think of Enter the Colosseum? Do you think it has a place in this deck? Are there versions of Control Paladin that you guys are running that you think would be, you know, better than this deck? So do make your feelings and your thoughts known, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe, and I'll see you all again very soon for more Wild Mode fun. And yeah, long may Wild Mode continue. I'm continuing to have, you know, a lot of fun with Wild Mode, and I'm finding it so much more interesting than standard. Just the variety of cards available to you makes it so cool, and I'm sure now this year in 2018, as more expansions become available, Wild Mode will continue to grow, will continue to become more interesting. I just hope that Blizzard would treat Wild Mode more seriously and give people more incentives to play it at a sort of a pro level. So tournaments officially sponsored by Blizzard, you know, sanctioned by Blizzard to support Wild Mode would be pretty awesome. And maybe, you know, what they should consider having is sort of World Championships featuring Standard Mode and then World Championships featuring Wild Mode. I think that would go a long way encouraging more people to play Wild. So yeah, sorry for ranting there, just making my feelings about Wild Mode known. And yeah, I'll see you guys all again very soon for more Hearthstone fun.